Okay, this is part 2 of 4 in the trilogy. The triangle, part 2. What I'd like to discuss now is talking about them, the personal data subscriber. They play a really important role because fundamentally they're the people that want to have access to your data. They're the people that want to have value from interacting with you. And it's also for us really important because that's where we make our money. And that's who we will charge for access to you. Our goal is that you as an end user should never pay for anything. I mean, perhaps you'll want to upgrade your account in some way, a little bit like like on Telegram or some other of those kind of software where you choose a slightly higher tier, have a few extra functions and features, but the core abilities of the product should be available to all. And when I say all, I mean everybody in the world, even the poorest. And that's part of what we're going to be doing as we roll forward. The personal data subscribers, or them, as we discussed before, very critical part. They're companies, organizations and governments that want to subscribe to parts of you. So let me give you an example. If you think about British Airways, when you buy a ticket from them, they have a reasonable requirement to have access to parts of you: name, address, telephone number, passport, etc. And that's bundled up in a way that makes sense for like an airline checkout. So, but they don't need to know anything else about you. You don't need to know how many steps you've taken today, for example. It's a bit of an obtuse example, but it's a real one. And I think companies take more and more data from you that they don't really need or use. Again, we talked about it on the previous video. Our community terms and conditions, they're agreeing to a rebalancing of the relationship between yourselves and them. And it's going to be on our terms and conditions, not theirs. And people are going to say, well, that's really difficult. You're not going to be able to get there. British Airways is not going to say, oh, yes, you're a small company, we'll do it. No, the answer lies in the long tail of the internet. We sort of start in the crypto world. We leapfrog forward into the long tail of the internet where there are millions of websites with hundreds of users. And if you do the maths, you end up with a very large community of people. And that's where we're going to go. We're going to support most business models. I think that's really important because if you don't do that, your subscribers don't have a mechanism in a way that they can interact with you that makes sense to them. So we've got to be able to do that. And finally, there's a critical benefit for them as an organization. Their data is up to date. For example, here you are. You say, hey, British Airways, I want to transact with you. You grant them a subscription. They have access to parts of your data. A couple of years later, you think, I haven't used a British Airways flight for 3 years. I don't want that relationship anymore. And you just disconnect from them. And under our community terms and conditions, they would be obliged to delete most of your data unless there's some local government regulations that say they must retain certain things, like a passenger manifest, for example, the fact you travelled. But they probably don't need to know that you went to the club lounge 4 times, So that's it. That's the end of the personal data subscriber video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. I'm Stephen Pollard, and I'm an ape on the internet.